Hi folks, welcome to Tier 3 Tactical. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite pieces of equipment that I've used for several years at this point. It's an EDC tool case that I use on the job as a police officer, and it could be used for other tactical professionals as well. So let's get right into it. This is a Leatherman case that's waterproof and water resistant. You can see it's got these waterproof zippers here and several other storage pockets. So it's got two main zippers and then like an exterior zipper at this location. So let's just kind of get into what I keep in all of these little things for this toolkit. The outside one here, we've got a little bit of duct tape. Can't go wrong with that. And then I've got a very handy little extendable magnet tool. These are super handy for changing optics on a rifle or something like that. You drop a screw and you can't get it because of course it's in the worst area behind the workbench. That will do for that. Something I didn't know they made, WD-40 makes these little pins that you just kind of push on like those Tide pins, and then it applies a little bit of oil. Very handy for stuff that doesn't need fancy gun lube or something like that. But that's what I keep in the outside pocket here. On the back side here, this case actually comes with this interesting little tray. This is a little light. I normally keep maybe on a vest, but it works pretty well for doing tasks here. So that's a newer addition there. But this tray can be removed, as you can see, but that's perfect for putting parts. Not magnetic or anything like that. Just a nice silicone soft tray, but I found it to be very handy when you're doing small projects. In this back area, you can see there's elastic loops with different sizes. So I keep a pair of snips here for, zip ties, small pieces of metal, whatever. Very handy to have these. So put those there. So this is a pin from Hodo. It has a bunch of small bits. Now these are bits that you might use for, eyeglasses or something smaller, electronics, things like that. But what I've used them the most for is the screws on Axon products, like the gun holster sensors or anything like that that's a little too small for a regular Torx or Phillips or something like that. So I've used this several times and it's certainly come in handy, and it keeps closed with a magnetic catch. This is only like $14. It's one of the best things I think in here. I've also included this small pry with a little clip on here. I don't really use that or anything, but this is handier than you would think to get out pins or things that are just kind of wedged in there that have been maybe gunked on or rusted. That's something you definitely want to have. Okay, let's get to the main compartment of this tool bag. In this side, I normally keep a 15 millimeter 1/4 inch ratchet. And that is because it doesn't come with this wear a tool check kit, and I think 15 millimeters is probably about as big as I could reasonably use. So I did buy that, but I haven't had a chance to use that yet, but that's just something I keep in there, especially for automotive applications when 15 mil is something that might come up. Extra set of saw blades for the saw I'm going to show you in a little bit. It has wood, metal, multi-purpose. Keeps it in this nice case, keeps it from rattling or cutting up the inside. This is something I've used the most. This is a OBD2 scanner from Blue Driver. Has an app on your phone. It's really handy. I've used it a lot for, my take-home vehicle or other citizens' vehicles. Maybe they're at a mechanic shop, mechanic's telling them something crazy, and it's a pretty easy fix. So I've used this a lot on like some civil calls or people that are just broken down to give them an idea what maybe needs to be fixed. I've found that this is be a very handy piece of equipment. The other thing I like a lot, now this is probably one of the more expensive items or kind of quality items. This is a Nipex set of pliers. And I really like it. They are self-locking, and it has this push button to allow you to adjust it. And as you can see, if you adjust it all the way down, you can grab something, pretty big there if you need to. And I think this is a good piece of equipment to have when you don't want to carry like a huge adjustable wrench in a compact toolkit. And Nipex, if you know anything about them, are known for having very high quality pliers. These are called their Cobra pliers. So I'm going to put that there. This is probably, I don't know if I'd call it the heart of the kit, but definitely something I use the most. This is the Wear a Tool Check Plus. So it's got, on one side, it has your 1/4 inch sockets, and then on the other side, it's got bits. And the nice thing about this bit holder is it opens up so you can kind of get your hands in there to get them out. You've got some security Torx, regular Torx bits, all kinds of Phillips, from pretty small to, you know, relatively large, some adapters, and then basically all the common things you use. I've used this for a lot of things around, you know, doors that are broken, putting optics on guns, things like that. And I've never run into a situation that between, you know, this HOTO thing with the small bits and this, that I couldn't find the right bit for it. So this has been very handy. It comes with a screwdriver, and what you do is you just use this adapter here that holds the bits, slide it in, and it actually is self-locking. So you put the bit in, and then you have this nice collar that locks. Makes it very easy, although I do tend to forget it and then try to pull the bit out and then struggle with that for a while, looking pretty cool. But this is a very handy kit. You can also use this ratchet if you want, and it's just a small little ratchet. This isn't something I would use for like an automotive application, but you know, just a normal something around where you can't really, you need a little bit more leverage than this little screwdriver. I would use that for that. But a lot of times I just use the screwdriver. That's the most common. The socket sizes are 13, 12, 10, 8, 7, 6, and then 5.5. So that's the reason why I've got this 15 millimeter as well, because I feel like 15 is pretty common, especially in automotive applications. So we'll put that here. This is something that, you know, you don't think about a whole lot, but it is super important. It's a small hammer. This is super cheap. It's like $7 or something like that. It's got a little magnetic a nail starter. I've not used that at all because I don't really use this for like hammering nails. And most of the time I use this for hammering things out with a punch, which I'll show you that in a second. But this thing is small. It's only 8 ounces, made by Black & Decker. Handle's very comfortable, but it's just, as you can see, it's a tiny little hammer, but it's perfect for everyday stuff, whether I'm, you know, maybe using it to pry something. But most of the time I've used this to hammer out pins or just kind of punch something out. Like the other day we had sim guns that were just packed full of those UTM rounds when we had some people going through training, and I had like 8 of those things in a barrel, so I had to use a punch and I had to hammer it out so I could clean the barrel out, and that worked out really well for this. So that is a good piece of kit there. Might as well get to it. This is like the cheapest punch set you can find on Amazon, which is fine by me. This is not going to be used all the time, but it's got everything from 1/16 all the way to 5/16 punches, and they're nothing special, but they are handy, and it is important to have a punch, I think, especially if you're doing any kind of work with guns, because you're going to have to push a pin out at some point, and you really need to have this. So these are handy. It does come with these like cheap set of pliers, which I've not used those yet, but you know, maybe they will come in handy at some point. This is also something I would definitely recommend on any kit that you would be using for cars or vehicles or something like that. These are Klein tools, which, you know, decent quality tools, but this is a small set of vice grips, and these are really handy, especially whenever you're by yourself and you need to hold on to something or keep like maybe a nut from spinning or something like that. Just like any vice grips, you move the end here, then it will clamp on whatever you need. I found the tool, the jaws, to be pretty sturdy. Now, this isn't a huge set of vice grips, so you're not probably holding like big pieces of sheet metal together, but it does work very well for like any task that you would reasonably expect this to be able to do. This is pretty handy. Another thing from Klein Tools, it is a laser, not really a tape measure, but it measures distances, and it's pretty accurate. You can set it so you put the end right up against, like, say, a board or piece of wall, and it'll give you a precise measurement, or you can set it so it just measures out the front. It's pretty handy for some tasks when you just need to rough in something, or you want to know, like, how big is this room? What's the distance to that? It's more of an indoor piece of equipment. I've tried to use it outdoors, but what happens is the visible laser you see that it uses to measure, you kind of lose it, and it's hard to tell what it's measuring off of. So I would say this is more of an indoor, you know, get the size of things or measure things. It does have this kind of nice pocket clip, so you're not losing it in your pocket. Use this a few times, but this is probably something I'd say is maybe a nice to have, not really a need to have. This is the saw tool that I mentioned comes with these blades. It comes with several of these. You can also, what I ended up doing is using, this is I think a metal one, and then I broke it in half. You just flex it and then break it in half, and then that way you can slide it in the handle. It just has this handle release, and that's super handy because it doesn't cut up the inside of your bag, but then you can kind of, you know, just pull it out, and if you need to saw a little bit of something or other. And then with the other blades, whether that's, you know, repairing a target stand that's wood, or you just need to cut some metal that maybe is sharp off so people aren't snagging on it or something, that's what you might use something like this for. Haven't had to use this yet, but I think it's going to come in handy at some point. So I think that's a worthy inclusion there. This is probably the most important thing. This is more, in my mind, for an automotive use because, you know, that little ratchet, that little screwdriver with the Tool Check Plus is good, but you are definitely not breaking any big or rusty nuts loose on that. It is only 1/4 inch sockets, but you definitely will run across that. And that, you know, this isn't designed to like torque anything down or tighten it up, but it's enough to get you to an actual good set of tools, which is what the point of this is. So this is just an extension that I've put on there. And it's nothing fancy, but a lot of times if you've worked on cars, you do know you need a set of extensions. So I have this on there in case I need it. And the nice thing about this is, I guess, First Info. Never really heard of this company, but it does provide a pretty interesting product. I really like this movable head because, as you know, tight areas, especially under the hood, you're gonna have a hard time reaching certain bolts, because I think engineers enjoy trying to make them the most difficult things to access there are. So that's really handy to have that. And then this one is nice, especially in a compact kit, because it has this collet here that extends the ratchet. So now I've got, you know, I went from pretty small ratchet here all the way out to, I think it's like a 9-inch ratchet, which can give you a good amount of torque to actually work on, you know, something where you need to break it loose. I've not had to use this on any like high stress areas, but it does have several dimples. So if you only have this much room, it'll lock in, no problem there. But most of the time I've just used this because of the flexible head in case it's something I need to reach around behind something. That's what I've used this for. So I recommend this. And this isn't, I don't remember this being particularly expensive. Definitely a good addition to the kit. If we're limiting the selection for this compact toolkit for, you know, police officers or tactical professionals, I think this is really what we're looking at for the most useful items. We've got punches here. We've got the flexible and extendable ratchet, that Hodo small bit kit, my blue driver up there, my vice grips, the multi-saw, the small Black & Decker hammer, and of course the Wear a Tool Check Plus. I think these are the minimum that would make that you could get, you know, probably 90% of the tasks done that I've used my kit for. So if you're really unsure about it or trying to keep the budget a little bit lower, then I would say look at these first and then add in things as you see fit. As always, if you liked this video, like and subscribe, and maybe send it to somebody who might be looking to put one of their own toolkits together. Thanks.